Hey guys, it's Lasse here, and I suppose, first of all, I'm back at the place at which I was the day before yesterday, making a fire again. You can see it behind behind the trees. There's this lake right by my side, beautiful. The sun is over there. It's around about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and today I thought that I would talk to you about God and all the metaphysics, at least as far as I know currently. But for some reason when I came here, by the way, sorry about the wind if it causes some disruption, poor sound quality, I don't know. It's not really something I can control, only the god of wind, Thor. But I suppose that, when I came here I started to feel this sadness. It was as if my heart sunk all the way into the bottom of my stomach and just felt drowsy there. And I feel a burdening of my spirit. It's as if there is a melancholia associated with this state, and I thought I would instead talk to you about that. I really don't care for the society anymore. I really don't. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I would like to withdraw and build my own community. Or join one, I don't know if there's anyone out there that would fit my philosophy. Because of course the philosophy must be laid down very clearly, otherwise a community cannot function, because we must all believe in the same fundamental truisms, axioms which cannot be doubted, which are mathematically provable. That's the basic requirement of any cohesively functioning group of people. I need a community because I cannot do this on my own. I cannot go this alone. I cannot do this myself. I must have help. I'm not smart enough, I'm not skilled, I'm not experienced, versed enough to be doing this alone. I need help from others, and that's why I perhaps am making this video. I need a group, I need a community. We need to find land, we need to buy land. I have some money saved from like a children's savings account that I have from my grandfather. That's not going to be enough entirely to buy a plot of land big enough to have a community. I need more people who are willing to invest and are willing to, not just their money but also their souls, into this project. We all need to come together around this, build this new form of society. A society according to the will of God, I would call it. And again, I will specify what I mean by God, because some people might be put off by that particular word. Just as a quick closure to that, or like a cliffhanger or whatever, is that with God I mean ultimate reality. I mean reality as a whole, global reality, all of reality at once. That is God. Then, of course, that can be still a vapid, sort of equivocal, or maybe even multi-equivocal, multivocal formulation, expression. What do I mean with global reality? What does that include? Is it just physical reality? Is it just material reality? Do I just call it God because I would like to do so? Does it include metaphysics? And as I've already alluded to, yes, of course. But we'll specify that, I think, maybe later on, or maybe even in this video, just so you know that I'm not a quote-unquote Bible freak or whatever, even though I do have a great respect for the Bible, especially the New Testament, the teachings of Jesus Christ, a great monotheistic philosopher who was greatly misunderstood by his, if not his contemporaries, then his not descendants, but those who came after him in time. I don't even know what to call those. His followers, maybe even just. The ecclesiastical community that formed around him. They greatly misunderstood his teachings and what he said about himself, what he claimed to be. They said he claimed to be God himself, like the only incarnation of God, which he never claimed. You can even read in Matthew 10, verse 17 to 18, I think it is, or not, Mark 10, 17 to 18, where, and as he journeyed out, a young man ran up to him, knelt, and said, "Good teacher, what must I do to be saved?" And Jesus answered him, saying, "Good. Why do you call me good? No one is good but God alone." Which is a quite, anti-Trinitarian quote right there in the Bible, in the earliest biblical source we have, or apart from the Pauline letters. So just to say that the whole, biblical movement is greatly, has been greatly misinterpreted by poor intellects of the human race. And when I say God, of course, I'm not completely disagreeing or departing from that original conceptualization of God as found in the biblical scriptures. I'm just specifying it more in terms of like, how do you formulate this logically, mathematically even? How do you put this into an equation that would make sense? I even have an equation I could share at some point about God, the God equation, I would call it. But that's to come, and I would need to show you some paper, film some paper in a setting there. However, so far I would like to build a community. I know that not really any, 3 people follow this channel. I don't even know if they watch the videos. They don't seem to. So I don't have a great reach into the social sphere, the digital social sphere, I should say. So I don't even know if this will find fertile soil to sprout in. However, I'm still sending something out there. Sending a message, sending a beacon of light for people to see and to follow if they want to find their way home too. Let's do that together. Let's sail this, let's weather this storm together and find our treasured island, this our paradisical plot of land somewhere. Yeah. What kind of community do I envision? Well, it would be an ecological community, not like let's do away, like CO2 is bad and all that's pseudo-scientific nonsense, as you all know. Hopefully you know that that's just anti-science right there. Pollution, of course, is a different matter. But CO2 is not a pollutant. That is the greatest scientific misconception, or not even scientific, but rhetoric, because it's a matter of rhetoric, not of science. That this ill-conceived notion, this misbegotten idea that CO2 is a pollutant, has been disseminated in society, and it's a great misnomer. CO2 is absolutely vital for the very subsistence of life itself. Without CO2 there would be no life. I'm burning off wood which is stored in its CO2. It was from a rotten tree over there that was about to decompose, and I took it, I burned it, and I released that CO2 back into the atmosphere to be resorbed by new plants, new growth. And as it looks right now, CO2 is not really, like the global atmospheric CO2 level is very extraordinarily low compared with how it looked at the beginning of the emergence of modern life, at the Phanerosauric era, a geological era about 500 million years ago. It means the life emergent era, Phanerozoic, from Phaneros meaning manifest, and Zoe meaning life, all of life, like not just bios, which is a particular form of life, but zoe, which is just the spirit of life itself. So CO2 was around like 6,000 to 10,000 ppm by then, and today it's like 410. People are like, and in a greenhouse, you would like to have it around 1,000, 1,200. That's the optimal rate for the growth of botanic life. So yeah, you can do the calculations, the math yourself. Figure out how it actually looks. People will say, well, what about the ozone layer? Well, I haven't heard shit about the ozone layer for a long time. What about global warming? Well, there's no proof that CO2 has anything whatsoever to do with global warming. And in climate change, people are calling it now. They stopped talking about global warming because it stopped. Right? It stopped around the 2000s, and it stopped for like 10 years. Nothing really happened, and people are like, we had this thing going. What do we call it now? Let's just change the rhetoric. So I don't like that conversation. I care about the environment, don't get me wrong. I care very much about not polluting, not making a mess of ourselves when we're in nature. Always leave a campsite cleaner than than how you found it. All of that, I care. Let's not mess up the oceans. Let's not mess up the seas or the whole ecosystem of the planet by releasing toxins into the environment. All of that I agree. Just CO2 is not a toxin. That's the greatest misconception that anyone could ever make. And every chemist. I hope that's the fuck. Would tell you that. He would tell you that if it weren't for carbon dioxide, there would be no life on this planet. So if it gets too low, plants will start to die, and then animals die. We die because we're animals. So yeah, just to say that when I say eco-village, I say a village that is built using natural resources. We burn wood, of course, but because that's actually healthy for the environment. You clear the area of dead wood and you burn it. You release the CO2 back into the atmosphere so that new life can emerge from it. That's just a cycle of life. And now these globalists are trying to make you believe, but trying to hoodwink you actually, by foisting on you this view that CO2 is bad, so that you don't consume it, like you don't use it, because they want to control you, as you probably should know by now, unless you're a dupe or a douche or whatever, a nothing burger, a dimwit, I don't know, just an ignorant person, a member of the sheeple. So I say like an ecological community is in the sense that we use natural material, we live in a natural lifestyle, we follow the rhythm of the earth. All of that. We get up with the sun, we go to bed with the sun. Of course in Scandinavia it's a bit skewed with the seasons, so in summer the sun never goes down almost, and in winter it only gets up for a few hours, so yeah, it's not... Yeah, but we follow the rhythm of the environment, of the earth, of the whole cosmos in a sense. And that's how we will organize ourselves. And it's of course a spiritual community as well, in the sense that we all identify with reality and with more than just material and physical reality. We know that there is a metaphysical extension to reality that although mostly not mentioned in common parlance among folks, is actually the most fundamental, basic state of reality that could ever be, and we understand the importance of identifying with this level of reality, because it's the most fundamental, it's the basic, it's the ground state of reality. So we all identify with that. I would call it a hollow theism. It's the theism where we understand that there is an identity to reality that combines everything into one wholeness. It's a hollow monism. And that is what we mean by God. That is that wholeness of reality that holds everything together at a higher level than what we can perceive in this physical substrate, or not substrate, but at this physical plateau. Yeah. We need to find a way of leaving society. We need money. So if anyone has money to chip in with, please. I hate that we would need it, but we still need it because we need to have a proof to the society that we own this land we have and that we're working on and that we have the rights to do with it as we please. Where exactly to move? I would suppose perhaps Sweden, Norway maybe, but it's just not Denmark because it's way too bureaucratic, I'm afraid to say. And even though it's beautiful, of course, but I think there's more opportunity in Sweden, just not too far north because otherwise it gets unbearably cold and unlivable. I don't know how many people, not too many, but not too few. We need people who have a variety of skills. Like, I'm a philosopher by heart, but I also need to learn carpentry and all these skills that a good old-fashioned artisan would have, because we need to build with our own hands and we need to build our own houses from, I suppose, wood or whatever material we can find that would be suitable. We need to gather around this common philosophy of reality that includes a metaphysical a level of self-identification. And from that we need to direct our focus at the practical problems we'll have to solve. And we need to use the intellect with which we have been bestowed to solve these problems. We need to grow together with each other and nature as well. But first of all, yeah, we need money. I have some, but not enough, and but it is a considerable amount. So it's a good starting point, but it needs augmentation, let's say. But it's not just the money; it's also the labor. We need people who can perform that. We need men, women, children. If not directly right now, we'll have them later. That's why we need the women, of course. And we need, this is going to perhaps be unpopular, but we need the unveed women, because we don't know about this injection, this concoction, this pharmaceutical elixir. It's still too dicey to say anything for sure. So in order to avoid any complications later on, it would probably be best just to have all naturals, if you understand. I'm a natural myself, and I think we should all just stay that. That is the whole point of an ecological community. We need to be natural, because who knows? Maybe you can still have children as a Veed woman. Maybe your grandchildren can't have children. Maybe your great-grand. Like, who knows what will happen? Because it goes in and it's a form of genetic technology that I'm not so sure of. I don't trust the people who made it. I don't trust any of the systematic power behind it, or systemic power behind it. I think we should leave that behind. We should strengthen ourselves together amongst ourselves, and we should grow a considerably internally coherent community. Because I'm sick of this system. It really bothers me that I'm a part of it still. I'm wasting the best years of my life in this system. And I want to go out and build. I want to be the founding father of a new form of community. Really, it was just the it's new of something old. It's a new thing. No, it's a new old thing. It's new in the sense that it hasn't been done for a while, but it's really old because it was done back in the days. It's just a new take on it, perhaps. How much technology can we take with us? I would say that all of digital technology really is a plague to man. It's not healthy for him to be pampered. It results in a state of hyper facilitation and dependency to these technological means, which cannot be good. Not at all. It's better to do things yourself. The thing about technology is that when you reach the era of digitalization, then you don't have anything that looks healthy anymore. It gets too easy, right? I hate writing on a computer because I can just delete, I can just edit. It's too. I don't have to concentrate that much. But now that I use a typewriter, I concentrate on every sentence, because if I mess just one letter up, well, it's screwed. And there's something really great about that. So technology in and of itself, it's not bad. Like fire is the archetypal technology along with speech. But it's the modern, the post-industrial form of technology we despise. You might call me a Luddite. Yeah, I suppose I am to some extent. Not in the original sense that I would go and burn down buildings because I'm an English worker whose job is being replaced by modern technology, but in the sense that I don't like digitalization, because it hands over the control to a very small, secluded group of people. An oligarchical regime then starts forming, and they take over everything, and then they mandate that you do things to your body that you don't want to do, right? Because you want to stay natural. And they don't want that, because they want to put chips in you. They want to do everything. They want to transhumanize you, because, yeah, that's the new trend. And we want to get away from all that. We want to counter it with a new movement, a counter-revolution, a counter-movement. But it has to be organized at the philosophical level. I think that was the era of all the preceding counter movements, that they didn't have a coherent philosophy of reality that made sense, and therefore they could not form at that highest level. They could not hold it together at the highest level of abstraction, and you need that in order to pull off something like this. So that's why I will bring you the concept of God, because that is the unifying concept of all of reality, and we need that. It's a philosophical definition of God that is going to bring this community together, because we'll all recognize what we are individually and collectively, how we are connected by this one identity that we call God. Because that's what God means. It's a global identity of reality. It's the most primordial form of reality that you can imagine. Before all of this was here, before all these physical formations came into being, there was just one distributive identity, and that was God. That is God. That is what God is. I suppose I'm rambling a bit forth and back, losing my direction. I think it has been said quite nicely. I think right now we just need to step into action, to organize, to establish communication, envisage this utopia, and to lay out the plan for how to achieve it. So if this message has reached you with the same note of urgency as it has felt to me, or as it has reached me prior, I would be very glad that you to contact somebody, leave a comment, whatever, do something to make it known that you are also perhaps in Scandinavia and that you would like to form a community up here of people. It has to be Scandinavia for me personally. It has to be because I belong to these lands. So I don't. You might call me a nationalist. That would be true. At least like a Scandinavian nationalist. I do appreciate that there are small differences between the three of us, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. But we come from the same Viking roots, and I think we should hallow that, preserve that. And we should stay where we adapted. We adapted to these climates, and that is where we belong. The time is here to move on, for moving on, and we need to come together. Divided, we stand alone and without the power to actualize our visions. But together we can do it. So we have to come together right now, at this instance. This cannot wait. I cannot bear this much longer. It's too hard to be a part of this system. And I don't know how to get out. Well, I do know how to get out, but I cannot get out now, as it is. But I cannot go on for much longer. It's killing me inside. Devouring me from within. It's festering in my soul like a plague. I don't have the words to describe the kind of feeling I experience from this society. It's a Molochian society. It devours human soul and spews out industrial toxins, pesters the air, petrifies all creative action into an ossified image of impotence. Meanwhile, Mother Earth sighs out in despair, blackened by this dire turn of events. Alas, my children have gone astray. We need to act now. This is too much. It's getting insufferable. Yeah, I think that was it. I'll say goodbye and leave you to your devices. Take care. Maybe we'll see each other. Maybe not. Do what you can do where you are. Make your own community if you're not from Scandinavia. If you are from Scandinavia and have these same aspirations, please don't hold back. If you hear this call as well, let's find each other and go and do this. By the will of God. I congratulate you.